Hello, my good people, and thank you for joining this lesson. This is Distinction KGC Assessment Test, that is Premier 006. You need to solve this paper fully, and therefore kindly stay up to the end so that you can learn, prepare, and revise. You need to start with Section A, which has 20 marks. So the first question reads, identify the skill grade 9 learners will acquire by handling apparatus and equipments accurately, like the microscope, to carry out an experiment. A, manipulative skill. B, communication. C, classification. D, prediction. So which one do you think is the correct option? To start with, it is not communication, because we know that communication is about passing in information. Also prediction, that one is not true, because prediction is making a guess about an outcome, and therefore not handling tools like equipments like microscope. What about classification? Classification is about grouping things according to similarities and differences, and therefore this one is not true. Therefore, the correct option is A, manipulative skills. So microscope requires hands-on ability, coordination, and careful handling, which refers to manipulative skills. And therefore, for question number 1, the correct answer is A. Continuing to question number 2, brass is an alloy. That is true. Which one of the following elements consists of its composition? A, iron and carbon. B, copper and tin. C, iron and copper. D, copper and zinc. So to start with, it is not iron and carbon. This one, they make what we call steel, not brass. Also, iron and copper, that one is not true. So we remain with B and D, copper and tin, and D, copper and zinc. So copper and tin, we get bronze and not brass, and therefore this one is not true. Therefore, the correct option is D. So when you alloy copper and zinc, we get what we call brass, and that is the answer to question number 2. Let's go on to question number 3. Which one of the following methods of softening hard water involves evaporation and condensation? And therefore here, evaporation and condensation. A, boiling. B, distillation. C, use of chemicals. D, filtering. You know that filtering removes only the suspended particles, not the dissolved salt, and therefore this one is odd one out. What about boiling? Boiling involves only evaporation. Therefore, that one is not true. Also, use of chemicals like washing soda does not involve things like evaporation, and therefore this one is not true. And therefore, the correct option is B. So distillation involves both evaporation and condensation. And therefore, that is the answer. Continue to question number 4. Which one of the following is the correct symbol for copper? ACU, BCO, CCR, DCP. So you know that the symbol for copper is Cu, and therefore the correct option is A. Let us go on to number 5. Metals are good conductors of electricity because A, they have a high melting point. B, they contain free delocalized electrons. C, they have luster. D, the atoms are lightly packed. So starting with the D, atoms are lightly packed. That one is not the reason. And also they have luster. That one is not the reason why metals are good conductors of electricity. What about A? They have high melting point. That one is not the main reason. Therefore, the reason for question number 5 is because they contain free delocalized electrons. This means that metals have free moving electrons in their structure, which carry charge and allow conduction. That's why they are good conductors of electricity. Let us go to question number 6. Identify the element with the following electron arrangement. Here you can see here we have an element. A, neon. B, fluorine. C, sodium. D, oxygen. So you can see here we have 11p, p to stand for protons, 11 protons, and 12n to stand for neutrons. And therefore, when you have 11 protons, this means that the atomic number of this element is 11. So in the periodic table, the element which is number 11, know that it is sodium. So sodium, it has 11 protons, and also sodium has 11 electrons. And therefore, for this diagram, this is for sodium. So the answer is C. We continue to question number 7. After carrying out such activity, grade 9 learners found out that cars in Mombasa rust faster than those in Limuru. What could be the main reason? A, Mombasa has more salt conditions compared to Limuru. B, temperature is high in Limuru than Mombasa. C, cars in Mombasa are made of iron. D, Mombasa is surrounded by water body. So which one do you think is the reason why they rust faster, the cars in Mombasa? So to start with, B is very wrong. Temperature is high in Limuru. That one is not true. We know that Limuru is a highland and therefore the temperatures are very low. It is very cold in Limuru compared to Mombasa, and therefore this one is not true. What about C? Cars in Mombasa are made of iron. We know that all cars are made of iron, and therefore that is not the reason. But D, Mombasa is surrounded by water body. That is not the cause. And therefore the correct option is A, which says that Mombasa has more salt conditions compared to Limuru. So you know that salt conditions and acidic conditions accelerate rusting. That's why cars in Mombasa rust faster than those in Limuru. And therefore the answer is A. Continue to 8 on the other side. Calculate the density of a wooden block that has a volume of 60 cubic centimeter and a mass of 6 grams. Give the answer in SI unit. So we know that, allow me to write here. We know that density is equals to mass over volume. So here we are given the mass. So this is 6 grams. I'm going to put here 6 grams divided by the volume is 60 cubic centimeter. So 60 cubic centimeter. So when you divide these two, you can see the answer is 0.1 gram per cubic centimeter. But remember, it is in SI unit. So the SI unit for density, it is kilogram per cubic meter, symbol kg per m cubed. So we're going to convert this into kilogram per cubic meter. We're going to convert somewhere here. So we know that 1 gram per cubic centimeter is equals to 1,000 kilograms. The space is very small. Let me write maybe here. So sorry for that. So 1 gram per cubic centimeters is equals to 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter. So ask yourself, what about our answer was 0.1 gram per cubic centimeter. So you cross multiply. So this will be 0.1. So it will be 0.1. It will be 0.1. So it will be 0.1 multiplied by 1,000 over 1. So if you multiply 0.1 times 1,000, you get it is 100 kilogram per cubic meter. Therefore, the correct option is A, 100 kilograms per cubic meter in SI unit. Sorry for this rough working. This is because the space is very small. But I hope you have understood. If you have any question, kindly you can ask in the comment section. So you continue with the number 9. Which of the following shows the correct electron arrangement in sulfur? So which one shows for sulfur? A283, B284, C287, D286. So we know that for sulfur, its atomic number is 16. So for sulfur, its atomic number is 16. So if you write the electronic arrangement, it will be the first energy level carries a maximum of 2. Then the next will be 8. So 2 plus 8, it is 10. Then the total is 16. So we remain with 6. So it is 286. And therefore, the correct option is D. So this is for sulfur. Can also revise this other. So 283, when you add this, 2 plus 8, 10. 10 plus 3, 13. This one is for aluminium. What about 284? 2 plus 8, 10. 10 plus 4, 14. This one is for silicon. What about this one? 2 plus 8, 10, plus 7, 17. This one is for chlorine. And therefore, the option is D. 286 is for sulfur. Number 10. Which one of the following develops immediately after fertilization in human beings? A, fetus, B, embryo, C, zygote, D, placenta. So to start with, it is not fetus, because you know that fetus forms much later during pregnancy. Also, it is not embryo. Also, placenta, this one is not true. And therefore, the one which immediately develops after fertilization is known as a zygote. So the answer is C. We continue to question number 11. The diagram below represents a simple electric circuit. You can see here we have dry cells, a wire, and then here we have an electromagnet. The energy transformation that takes place in the circuit is, here we have the options A, B, C, D. So the easiest way to get the correct option, remember that for dry cells contained store chemical energy. Dry cells contain stored chemical energy. And therefore, we're going to look at the option, which one starts with chemical energy. And therefore, we eliminate B. You can see it starting with magnetic energy, and also eliminate C, electrical energy. So that's how easily you can pass section A. You just start by elimination. So we remain with A and D. So from chemical, this current is going to flow in the wire. So what is that? When you see current, that is electrical energy. Therefore, for A, we have heat energy. This one is not true. Therefore, we remain with the D. This is the correct option. So chemical energy to electrical, the current, and then the current is going to make this electromagnet to attract other small magnetic material. So we have what we call magnetic energy. And therefore, the answer is D, from chemical energy to electrical, then to magnetic. We continue to 12. Which one of the following is not an excretory product in human beings? So as always, I usually give one question as an assignment. So kindly, which one do you think is not an excretory product in human being? Urine, A, B, sweat, C, carbon dioxide, D, feces. So kindly, you can let us know in the comment section. Let us know so that you can also learn. And therefore, for number 12, you can put it in the comment section. Thank you so much for your responses. Number 13, which one of the following activities is correct when comparing the strength of acids in fruit juices? And line the word fruit juices. And then here we have to add as solution, add A, indicator, and then fruit juice drop by drop. B, fruit juice and then indicator drop by drop. C, equal amount of fruit juice and then indicator drop by drop. D, equal amounts of indicator and fruit juice. So for A, indicator and then fruit juice drop by drop, don't start with the indicator. You always start with the substance, and therefore A is wrong. That one is not true. Also D, equal amounts of indicator and fruit juice, that one is not true. So we remain with B and C. So remember, you're comparing strength of acids in fruit juices, and therefore we need equal amount of fruit juice and then indicator drop by drop, and therefore that is the correct answer. Question number 14. Which of the following sources of energy is non-renewable? A, kerosene, B, solar, C, firewood, D, biogas. So non-renewable means the one which cannot be replaced once used. So solar, this one is renewable. Also biogas, this one is renewable. Also firewood, this one is renewable. And therefore, the one which is non-renewable is kerosene. Kerosene comes from petroleum, and when once used, it cannot be renewed, cannot be replaced, and therefore kerosene is non-renewable. We continue to number 15. When choosing a method of separating a mixture of a liquid and a solid, it is important to consider the A, density of the liquid, B, size of the particles of the solid, C, density of the solid, D, solubility of the solid. So for you to know whether you're going to use a filtration or decantation, so which one is the most important? You know that density is not important, and also the density of the solid. This one don't matter. What about D, solubility of the solid? If the solid dissolves, it is no longer a simple mixture, and therefore this one is not the correct option. The correct option is B, size of the particles of the solid is an important factor to consider, and therefore the answer is B. Number 16. The force that acts on a given area is called, so force that acts on a given area, so force per unit area. So you know that this is a grade 8 work. So force per unit area, this is pressure, and therefore the answer is D. So pressure is the force that acts on a given area. We go on to number 17. The table below shows parts of the human digestive system and their functions. Part and the function: small intestine, absorption of food; stomach, the function is given as Y. Part X, its function is given as absorption of water. Which one of the following options represents X and Y? So remember, we said you can easily score everything in section A by looking at the one correct option. So you know that absorption of water takes place in the large intestine. So we come to the option. So we look for large intestine. So esophagus, that is wrong. Rectum, not true. Even mouth, not true. So we know that in the mouth is where we have digestion of starch. And therefore, we have B, large intestine, absorption of water. And then the stomach, the function of the stomach is digestion of food. Therefore, this one is true. That is the answer to question number 17. We continue to 18. Which one of the following is not definite in liquids? A, shape, B, volume, C, mass, D, density. So you know that volume is definite, also density is definite, and also mass. Then the one which is not definite is shape, because you know that liquids don't have a shape, they take the shape of a container. And therefore, for question number 18, the correct answer is A. Number 19. A public health officer gave a talk on healthy lifestyles that promote kidney health. Which one of the following could not have been included in the talk as a healthy lifestyle that promotes kidney health? A, drinking plenty of clean water, that one promotes a healthy kidney. Also eating a balanced diet, that one is true. And even getting enough sleep, that one is okay. And therefore eating sugary foods, that one will damage your kidneys. And therefore that one is not likely to be included in that talk. And therefore the answer is C. Number 20. Most metals exist as solids. That is true. Which of the following is a metal but not a solid? A, carbon, B, chromium, C, mercury, D, manganese. So you know that the only metal which is a liquid at a room temperature is mercury. Therefore, mercury is not a solid. Therefore, the answer is C. Number 20. Different quantities have different standard international units. What is the SI unit for luminous intensity? A, seconds, B, candela, C, mole, D, coulomb. So which one do you think is the correct option? So seconds, that one is wrong. This is for time. Mole, this one is wrong. This is for amount of substance. Also coulomb, this is for charge, a unit for charge. And therefore, the SI unit for luminous intensity is B. It is candela, and the symbol is capital C and small d. Number 22. Which class of fire is caused by materials such as cooking fats? Class D, B, class C, C, class B, D, class K. So cooking fats, a fire kitchen, that is kitchen fire, belongs to class K. And therefore, the answer is D, class K. Let's go on to 23. Which statement explains the similarity between plant and animal cell? The similarity means it is common in both plant and animal cells. A, both have cell wall. B, both have chloroplast. C, both have cell membrane. D, both have vacuole. So you know that this one is not true. A plant cell, they have a cell wall, but animal cells, they lack a cell wall. So when you say both have, that one is not true. What about B? Both have chloroplast. That one is not true. Chloroplast is for photosynthesis, and therefore it is found in plants and not animal cell. Also, both have vacuole. For me, a vacuole can be present or absent in animal cell, and therefore the one which is true is both have cell membrane. So to be safe, the correct answer is C. Both have cell membrane. Number 24. During an introduction lesson to the laboratory apparatus, learners noted that most apparatus were made of glass. Which of the following is a reason for this? A, glass is cheap. B, glass does not react with the chemical easily. C, glass is hard to break. D, glass is a poor conductor of heat. So to start with the A, glass is cheap. That one is not even true because we know that glass is expensive compared to plastic. C, glass is hard to break. That is not true. Glass is very easy to break. D, glass is a poor conductor of heat. You know that sometimes we use glass apparatus to heat, like test tubes, and therefore this one is not the main reason. So the main reason is glass does not react with the chemicals easily. So that is the main reason. Another reason is because a glass is easy to wash. So those are the two reasons why most apparatus are made of glass in the laboratory. Number 25. Which one is not an example of a compound? So you know that a compound is whereby we have two or more elements which are chemically combined. A, copper sodium, B, sodium chloride, C, copper oxide, D, water. So sodium chloride, you can see here we have sodium and chlorine, which are chemically combined. That one is true. Copper oxide compound, even water. We have hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen. So we know the chemical symbol for water is H2O. You can see here we have hydrogen with oxygen, and therefore this is a compound. So copper sodium, there's nothing like this, and therefore that is not an example of a compound. 26. John mixed baking soda with the vinegar while baking and noticed bubbling. So bubbling means some bubbles. What does this reaction indicate? A, heat was being released. B, substances were mixing evenly. C, chemical reaction releasing a gas occurred. D, vinegar was evaporating. So to start with A, heat was being released, not true. Substances were mixing evenly, that one is not true. Even D, the vinegar was evaporating, that one is not true. And therefore the reason when you see bubbling, so the reason is because a chemical reaction releasing a gas occurred. That's why we have some bubbles. Therefore the answer is C. Number 27. Which one of the following pairs of substances will give the same color when mixed with flower extract? A, lemon juice and lime solution. B, lime solution and Actol solution. C, lemon solution and aspirin solution. D, aspirin and Actol solution. So to start with, you have to understand this. So we are mixing with the flower extract, which is a plant extract. So this is treated as an indicator. So this is an indicator. So this is where the trick is. So flower extract, meaning that we're going to use a plant extract as our indicator. So to have the same color, this means that both substances must be either acids or all of them are bases. So to start with, you can see lemon juice is an acid. What about lime solution? This is a base, and therefore the color will not be the same. What about part B? Lemon solution and aspirin solution. What about part D? Aspirin and Actol. So lemon solution acid, aspirin solution also, this is a weak, and therefore that one is not true. Aspirin and Actol, even that one is not true. The correct option is lime solution is a base, and also Actol solution is an antacid, and therefore they're going to give the same color. Therefore, the correct option is B, lime solution and Actol solution. Number 28. During a thunderstorm, learners were observed A, sheltering, Roman 1, sheltering under the veranda, Roman 2, wearing red jackets in a classroom, playing on the football pitch, and then finally lying on the ground, the classroom. In which pair of observations are the learners more likely to be struck by lightning? So here we have the options A, B, C, D. So this is a very common myth that if you wear a red jacket, lightning is going to strike you. I know you know this. This one is not true. According to science, that one is just a rumor. Therefore, any option with Roman 2, it is not true. So C and D, we're going to eliminate these two. So we remain with A and B. So sheltering under the veranda, this one is very risky. And also playing on the football pitch. So playing on an open ground when it is raining, it is very risky. Can be easily struck by lightning. And therefore, the correct option is Roman 1 and Roman 3. Therefore, the answer is A, Roman 1 and Roman 3. Number 29. The following are examples of sexually transmitted infections, STIs, except syphilis, gonorrhea, bilharzia, HIV/AIDS. So syphilis, this is STI, also gonorrhea, also HIV. What about bilharzia? This is not true. Bilharzia is not sexually transmitted, and therefore the answer is C. Number 30. Which one of the following is not a hazard in the laboratory? A, burns, B, open flames, C, corrosive substances, D, flammable chemicals. So we know that a hazard, a substance is likely to cause harm or discomfort. So to start with, open flames can cause burns, corrosive substances also can cause burns, flammable chemicals, yeah, this is a hazard. Which one is not a hazard? Burns. This one is not a hazard. This one is an accident. And therefore, this one is not a hazard. It is an accident in the lab. That is the end to section A. We're going to continue with section B. Kindly like this video if you are following along. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for liking. It really encourages me to produce such content. We're going to continue with section B, which is 40 marks. The diagram below shows the heating curve of a pure substance. Study it carefully, then answer the questions that follow. You can see here we have temperature, then time in minutes. So here we have some letters A, B, C, D, E, F. Part A. Using the kinetic theory of matter, explain what happens to the substance when between points A and B. So you can see as from point A to point B, the temperature increases from -10 to 0. So we're going to explain what happens to the substance, 2 marks. So as temperature increases, the particles in the pure substances absorb heat energy and vibrate and begins to break apart. So they absorb the heat and then they begin to break apart. We score those 2 marks. Part B. What happens to the temperature between point B and C? Can you see here, between point B and C, it is a straight line, and therefore the temperature is 0. So the temperature is not changing. It is remaining constant. So I'm going to explain. So in region BC, the temperature remains constant, and the reason is because the pure substances melts at this point. So it is changing from solid to liquid. So that is the reason why the temperature is constant. Part C. What would happen to the boiling point of this substance if it were contaminated with sodium chloride? So this means that you're going to add impurities. Remember, you're talking about a pure substance. So if you're going to add sodium chloride, then you're adding impurities. Remember that impurities lowers the melting point and increases the boiling point. So it lowers the melting point and increases the boiling point. So the question is asking about what will happen to the boiling point. So we're going to say the boiling point of the pure substance will increase, and therefore we get 1 mark. Number 32. A learner was using a light microscope to view onion cells. If the eyepiece lens magnification was times 10, while the objective lens was times 50, calculate the total magnification. So we know that I'm going to use initial. Total magnification, TM, is equals to eyepiece lens magnification multiplied by objective lens magnification. This will be the eyepiece lens is times 10, so this is 10 multiplied by the objective lens was 50, so multiplied by 50. So when you multiply 10 times 50, it is 500. You're going to write times 500. So that is the total magnification. But in the exam, kindly don't write with this initial. The examiner is not going to understand what you are talking about. Just write in full. So that is the answer to 32. We get those 2 marks. 33. The illustration below shows a summary of the main phase of the human menstrual cycle. Here we have the cycle. Here we have the cycle. You can see it, and then you have menstruation, 7th day, the follicular phase, 14th day, and then you have the 21st day, the luteal phase, and then the 28th day. So this happens in girls. We know that this is a cycle that is common in girls. Part A. Name the process that takes place around the 14th day. So here we have A14. The process is known as 1 mark. It is known as ovulation. So sorry for that. Ovulation. So you get 1 mark. Part B. Under which 2 conditions would the cycle be interrupted? This means the cycle maybe will be interrupted instead of, for girls, maybe instead of seeing your periods on day 28, it comes early, or maybe it comes late, or maybe sometimes you miss your period. So the question is asking, under which 2 conditions will the cycle be interrupted? 2 marks. So the first condition is during pregnancy. So during pregnancy, the cycle is going to be interrupted, and also when having hormonal changes, or what we call hormonal imbalances. So these are the conditions under which the cycle can be interrupted. Number 34. Define the term pressure and state its SI unit. So from the formula, know that pressure is equals to force over area. So you can define our term from this formula. So you can say pressure is the force acting normally per unit area. We get 1 mark. So acting normally per unit area. So it is force over area. And then as a unit, we know that the SI unit of force is Newton. So per means over. And the SI unit of area is meter square. So the SI unit is Newton per square meter, symbol N over M squared. So SI unit is Newton per square meter. So we get those 2 marks. Continue to part B. Charles is standing on a floor on 2 feet. So 2 feet. He has a mass of 85 kilograms. The area of contact between his feet and the floor is 0.032 centimeters square. Roman 1, determine the pressure he exerts on the floor. Roman 2, what pressure will he exert on the floor if he stands on 1 foot? So we're going to solve this. It's a very simple. We're going to start with it. This is mass. So you know that pressure is a force over area. So remember that is the formula. So do we have the force? No. This is mass. And how do we get the force? Force is given by mg. So it is mass multiplied by gravitational pull. We're going to say the force will be 85 kilograms multiplied by 10. And therefore, the force is 850 newtons. We get 850 newtons. What about the area? Do we have the area? The area is there. But look here, it is centimeters square. We have to change into its SI unit, which is meter square. So it will be, we divide by 10,000. So this will be 0.032 divided by 10,000 to change into cubic, not cubic, into square meters. So 0.032 if you divide by 10,000, sorry. We get, according to my calculator, it is, I'm going to write in standard form because now I know you are big students. So this is a 3.2 times 10 raised to negative 6 meter square. I'm going to divide these two. So allow me to write here for my working. So pressure will be the force 850 newtons over the area, which is now 3.2 times 10 raised to negative 6 meter square. So when you divide these two, the answer is very big. The answer is so big. So there's no problem. It is very, very big, but we're going to write the answer. The answer is very big. So the pressure will be, if you divide these two, the pressure will be 2656 265625 and then 3 zeros. Newton per meter, or you can say Pascal. So another unit is Pascal or Newton per square meter. So you can say PA, Pascals. This is 123, 123, So that is the pressure. That is the pressure exerted on the floor. Roman 2. What pressure will he exert on the floor if he stands on 1 foot? So remember the area. This area is for the feet. This means for 2, you know that we have 2 legs. So for 1, we'll divide it by 2. So the force remains the same. The force remains the same. The force is 850 newtons. Now the area going to divide by 2. Remember our area was 3.2. 3.2 times 10 raised to negative 6. We divide by 2. So it will be, for 1 foot, it will be 1.6. 1.6 times 10 raised to negative 6. So you can say pressure is equal to force over area. So pressure will be the force 850 newtons over the area 1.6 times 10 raised to negative 6 meter square. Square meter. So when you divide these two, you'll see it is again a very big number, 531. 250,000. That 1,250,000 pascals or Newton per meter square. So that is the answer to Roman 2. Let's go to number 35. A group of learners set up an experiment to determine the presence of substances P, Q, R, and S in a mixture T. They later obtained the following result. So here is the result. You can see T, P, Q, S. These are the distances the particles traveled. Solvent front baseline. Let us go to part A. Identify the method of separation illustrated. So this method is called paper chromatography. So the method is called paper chromatography. So the method is called paper. Sorry, writing is very difficult using this pen. Write paper chromatography. Paper you can see. So it is called paper chromatography. Part B. Select one substance which contains a component that is not present in T. So this one is not in our level, but I'm going to teach you. It is important that you know. So not present in T. Let us go back to our diagram. So how do you know a component that is present in T? Remember, T is the mixture. So if you want to know the component present in T, then the distance traveled, it is the same level as T. For example, here you can see for P, the distance is the same as these two points I'm pointing. They have the level is the same, and also here also the level is the same. What about Q? You can see Q, not clear. Q is in line with T, so you can see the the level is the same, and therefore it is contained in T. What about R? Can look for R. You can see R. It is in line with T. You can see same level. Therefore, it is contained in T. What about S? You can see S. S is the odd one out. It is between these two dots, and therefore S is somewhere here in the middle. Therefore, the one which is not present in T is S, because it is not in the same level as T, and therefore we can say it is S. Get that one mark. Don't bother, because I've said this one is not in our level. It is in senior schools. Roman 2, a substance which is least soluble in the solvent used. Give a reason for your answer. So when you hear the word least soluble, this one means it is it never dissolved with the solvent, and therefore it is more sticky. So we hear least soluble, then it is more sticky. When it is more sticky, it is going to travel a shorter distance. So it is more sticky, shorter distance. It is not sticky, that is more soluble, going to travel a longer distance. So you can see here between P, Q, R, and S, which one traveled the shortest distance? For P, it reached here. For Q, also here. For R, here. What about S? S is here. So S is the least soluble. So S again is the one which is the least soluble. You can see the distance traveled is short. So that is the answer to Roman 1 and Roman 2. Part 6. What is photosynthesis? 1 mark. So I'm going to dictate, or I'm going to say, because this space is limited. So photosynthesis is the process by which plants manufacture their own food. Very simple. So photosynthesis is the process by which plants manufacture their own food. You get that 1 mark. State 4 conditions that are necessary for photosynthesis. So remember, I usually tell my students that when cows see green plants, they go there. So for you to remember the conditions, we usually write this. Cows. When cows see green plants, grass, maize, they go there. So cows go. This means carbon dioxide, CO, is for carbon dioxide, and water. In the presence of sunlight, they get glucose and oxygen. So these are the conditions. These are the end product. Sawa. So for part B, state the 4 conditions. So conditions are 1, carbon dioxide. You're going to state 1. Another one is W, water. S for sunlight. Then finally, remember, tumeongelea green plants. So it is chlorophyll. So going to state chlorophyll. That is the condition necessary for photosynthesis. So we get those 3 marks. So sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide and chlorophyll are the condition necessary for photosynthesis. Number 7. Charles, a grade 8 learner, placed an artificial cell membrane made of whisking tubing filled with concentrated salt solution. So concentrated salt solution into a beaker of distilled water as shown in the diagram below. You can see here we have whisking rod, concentrated salt solution, and then we have this. This is the setup. Part A, what was likely to be observed after 30 minutes? 1 mark. So because inside we have concentrated salt solution and outside we have distilled water, and you know that osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. So outside here, water is highly concentrated. What about inside? Because we have salt solution, which is more concentrated, the concentration of water here is less. And therefore, more water will move into the whisking tubing. Therefore, going to say the volume of the contents in the whisking tubing will increase. That is the reason. What is your, that is observation. What is your reason? The reason is because due to osmosis. We will say water will move from a region of high concentration outside the whisking tubing into the inside, which is less concentrated with the concentrated salt solution. So let us go to part C. Set 2 factors affecting osmosis, 2 marks. From number 1, you know that concentration of the solution affects, also temperature affects, and the permeability of the membrane. These are the factors that affect osmosis. Let's go to question number 38. While washing clothes, Moses realized that he was using a lot of soap lather to form. Apart from wasting soap, state another disadvantage of using hard water to wash clothes. You know that hard water contains magnesium and calcium ions. So we have so many disadvantages. For example, may lead to blockage of water pipes due to scale deposits. So that is my disadvantage, my own answer. I know we have so many. You can also try to give us others. Disadvantages of hard water. This is grade 9 work. You can also tell us, teach us in the comment section which are other disadvantages of hard water. Part B, give one benefit of using hard water, one health benefit of using hard water. Because we have said hard water contains calcium and magnesium ion. So the calcium ions are very important in making the teeth and the bones strong. So we're going to say calcium ions makes the teeth and the bones strong. So this space also is very limited. So that is the answer. Calcium ions make the teeth to be strong, the teeth and the bones to be strong. Number 19. A grade 9 learner presented an atom of potassium as follows. Here we have that 919K. Use the presentation to answer the following questions. What is the mass number of potassium? Remember, when we're presenting elements, we have X. So X can be any element, the symbol. X can be any element, and then here we have A and Z. So A to stand for the mass number and Z to stand for atomic number. So here, this is the mass number A. This is the atomic number Z. So what is the mass number of potassium? So you can see the mass number is there. It is 39. Very simple. Get 1 mark. How many neutrons does potassium contain? So you know that mass number A is equals to the atomic number Z plus the number of neutrons N. So if you want to get N, we take Z to the left. So it will be A minus Z. Very simple mathematics. So N is going to be the atomic number, which is 39, minus, not atomic number, sorry, the mass number 39, minus the atomic number 19. So 39 minus 19, you get the number of neutrons to be 20. And therefore the answer is 20. So we're going to say the number of neutrons is 20. So N is equals to 20. So inside the number of neutrons is 20. Get 1 mark. Part C. How many electrons does potassium have in its outermost energy level? So how do we answer this? Because here we have the atomic number. This means that the number of electrons are there. It is 19. Because you know that number of protons is equal to number of electrons. So we're going to write the electronic configuration of this. So 19, it will be 2, and then 8, and then 8, and then 1. 2 plus 8, 10, 10 plus 8, 18, 18 plus 1, 19. And therefore, how many electrons does the potassium have in its outermost energy level? This is the outermost energy level. You can see it has 1, electron. Then you're going to say it has 1 electron. So the answer is 1 electron. Part D. What is the overall charge on an atom of potassium? Explain. Also, this question is not according to our level. It is not in our level. This is at higher levels, like in the senior school. But I'm going to teach you, maybe, if you need it. It is very important. So what is the overall charge on an atom of potassium? So for potassium to be stable, it is going to lose this 1 electron, this outermost electron. So for it to be stable, so it is going to lose this 1 electron. And you know that we have said in any stable atom, number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. This means if the protons are 10, then electrons are 10. Now for potassium, we have 19 protons and 19 electrons. But when it loses 1 electron, now we'll be having more protons than electrons because it's lost 1 electron. And therefore, the charge, going to say it is +1. So +1. Why positive? Because it has lost 1 electron, and therefore we are going to have more protons, and then 1 to show the number of electrons lost. So that is the overall charge. And then explain. I've already explained, and then you score 2 marks. But for this, don't worry, because this one is not according to our level. It is not in the curriculum design. Number 40. Differentiate between ductility and malleability, 2 marks. Now, ductility is the ability of a material to be drawn into a wire without breaking easily. And a good example is copper wire. While malleability is the ability of a material to be hammered into thin sheets without breaking. So malleability, I tell my students, MA, malleability for mabati. So thin sheets is whereby malleability is the ability of material to be hammered into thin sheets without breaking. So a good example is our rooftops. It is very thin. That is a malleability, a property of metal. So MA for mabati. Anyway, you continue to 41. Consider a mixture of iodine and sodium chloride. Describe how each of the substances can be obtained from the mixture. So remember, iodine is a substance when heated changes directly to a gas, so it sublimes. Then here we have sodium chloride. So you can use the sublimation method, which you can say, heat the mixture and cool the vapor to get iodine through sublimation. So that is the easiest method that you can use to obtain iodine, that is, obtain the substances from the mixture. Number 42. An experiment was set up to investigate a certain process as shown in the diagram below. Here we have an experiment. You can see gas X, test tube. Here we have a water weed, very important. This is grade 9 work. Glass funnel, water plus sodium hydrogen carbonate. The setup was left in bright sunlight for 4 hours. Part A, state the aim of the experiment, 1 mark. So the aim is to investigate the gases produced during photosynthesis. So that is the aim of this experiment, investigate gases produced during photosynthesis. Part B, what is the name of gas X? Remember, we have said here from this, when the process of photosynthesis, the gas which is released is oxygen gas. So the gas that is here, it is called oxygen gas. So the gas produced is oxygen gas, because at the end, the product of photosynthesis, we get oxygen and glucose. So oxygen is the gas produced. Part C, other than sunlight, name 2 factors that would affect the experiment. So other than sunlight, which other factor is going to affect the process of photosynthesis? You know that we have things like water, carbon dioxide. Yeah, so we're going to say water, availability of water, and even carbon dioxide. So those are the factors that are going to affect the experiment. So we get those 2 marks. Then part D, state how the identity of gas X could be confirmed. So how do you know oxygen gas? Again, this one is not in our level, but I'm going to teach you. So by using, it relights, oxygen gas relights, it relights a burning splint, glowing, sorry. It relights a glowing splint. This lights a glowing splint. So when you put a glowing splint, you're going to see a flame. So it relights a glowing splint. So that is the end of this paper. And say the next paper is paper 2. It is a very good paper. You want me to do it, let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly consider subscribing and liking this video so that you can be notified when new upload is out. Thank you so much. Best wishes. See you in the next video.